Anthony Richardson is one of the most misunderstood players in the NFL. What he actually did on the field in his first year and how he actually plays the game have both been grossly exaggerated. While the future feels incredibly bright, at least that's how everybody's talking, let's temper expectations, rain some truth bombs down on the entire situation by diving into the stats and, more importantly, the film. While there are some plays we'll get into later that show his true ceiling, I first want to shower some cold water on the hype that has gone way out of control. Yes, we're going off a super small sample size, I know, but that's because he was knocked out of 3 of the 4 games due to injury. His accuracy is all over the place. He completed just 59.5% of his passes, good for 32nd in the league, behind Zach Wilson and Bryce Young, who just had arguably the worst rookie season ever. Richardson's had accuracy issues dating back to college, where he completed just 54.7% of his passes against the lesser competition, and his struggles to hit routine throws shows up frequently. He'll often miss to the wrong shoulder, which is everything in the NFL. The margins are so razor thin that even a couple of inches away from your target is the difference between a pick and a tud. The most important part of a speed out is the ball placement, where it has to be outside of the defender. Richardson consistently, unintentionally placing the ball either back shoulder or here on the body of Alex Pierce, where being led would have got him 7, his inaccuracy throughout college, and now in an albeit super small sample size in his rookie year, is terrifying. His 21% bad throw percentage, which Pro Football Reference simply defines as throws that weren't catchable with normal effort, the 21% number was again only ahead of Bryce Young for the worst in the league. Another part of his game that gets overrated because of his combine and pro day is how often he targets down the field. Dude has one of the strongest arms I have ever seen, yet he barely pushes the ball deep at all. His 9.5 deep percentage was the 34th highest in the league because he weirdly struggles to be aggressive down the field. The Colts have this same side XZ read concept where each receiver will read if there's a defender in front of him, and if not, at about 18 to 20 yards, they'll keep going deep. With good protection, Josh Downs sees Kadar Holdman over the top, so he chops down, and Alex Pierce rightfully sees nobody deep and bursts through. With Holdman triggering at the top of Richardson's drop, this is the time to bomb it 70 yards down the field like we know he's capable of. And if for some reason he doesn't like that, he can try and throw Downs open in zone coverage, but instead he pulls the ball for a dead play. His struggles have been under-exaggerated, but I'm not like a hater or anything. He obviously has strengths. You could see him slowly developing them as the games went on. The flashes were definitely there. Early on, he looked uncomfortable, but then he started to realize how defenses were playing him. This is classic 4 verticals where he doesn't rip the seam when he should. This is as wide open as a seam will get in the NFL, but I want you to focus on the defense. There are 2 families of zone coverage: spot drop zone, where you drop to a spot with your eyes on the quarterback, and match zone, where you're playing zone, so an area, but with more man principles where you're matching routes. It's easier for quarterbacks to attack spot drop zone since there's more open space in the defense, and teams will play more spot drop against running quarterbacks to keep their eyes on him to keep him in the pocket, since match zone your eyes stray more towards the receivers. Defenses play a ton of spot drop against Richardson because of his running ability, and he slowly started to adjust and pick them apart. It was a gradual learning process. Once again, this is only week 1, and he only played 3 more games after this. In 4 verticals, like most concepts, the routes convert based on coverage. When there's 1 high safety, the seams stay, up the seams to maneuver and get space from that 1 high safety. But when there are 2 high safeties, like we see here, 1 or both of the seams will convert to bend their route toward that open space up the middle of the field. However, Richardson doesn't read this quite in time and still throws it up the seam like it's 1 high. But later in the game, when he quickly makes the adjustment, just 1 quarter later, now we can see some of the high-end arm strength and ability to rip through defenses. As the weeks went on, we saw him anticipate the spot drop zone coverages that he started out a little uncomfortable with. After a couple reps of seeing the defense react to the same concept, you can watch the second level still dropping to a spot with their eyes on him to make sure he's staying in the pocket, and that leaves the seam open and he's ready for it. But defenses are smart. They game plan all week to figure out what is gonna happen and how to adjust to what offenses are doing. So the Rams come up with a good solution, which becomes Richardson's best throw of his young career. They play cover 2 spot drop zone, but man up one of the verticals. Instead of Richardson checking the ball down too early, look at this throw. An absolute missile up the seam, which even has him displaying his, I dare say, advanced ability for a rookie to use his eyes to manipulate the defense and create space up the middle. When everything goes right for him, it looks perfect. He's got promising ability to manipulate the pocket and squeeze every last drop out of a play to get the throw off. Usually rookie quarterbacks get spooked by the blitz, even if it's gonna be blocked up, and they speed up their process, especially if they get this pressure immediately right in their face. They are crumbling. Something's going haywire. But he is good at hanging in and getting the ball out to where it needs to be. This pocket presence is what I believe makes his ceiling so high, not as much the arm or legs, but when we see him start extending plays both in and out of the pocket is when your eyebrows definitely start to raise. For example, watch how he steps up into the heart of the pocket and he's just calm. He could probably throw to Mo Alley Cox here, maybe he's uncomfortable with the backer right in the window, but sliding out to extend the play and creating this open space for him to throw is just exceptional at a young age. He's also flashed a good understanding of matchups in the underneath game. Once again, we haven't seen him target downfield very much. We've pretty much already watched all of his deep throws in this video. But when he gets his receiver in the slot and he is hot, where he has an unblocked rusher coming, he doesn't panic and shows that he can get the ball out quickly to where it needs to be. He can process these matchups pre-snap too. Here the Rams have their linebacker over Josh Downs, the receiver, so Richardson audibles to a slant and picks up an easy 4 yards on the mismatch. How did he know what the Rams were playing and how to exploit it? Well, before the play starts, offenses send out their personnel, here 3 receivers, a back, and a tight end, and defenses match 3 receiver sets with a third corner, a nickel corner, to guard all the speed. But when the Colts put their running back outside, and the Rams keep their corners outside, keep their third corner here to guard the inside receiver, Richardson knows it's A, zone coverage, because he wouldn't want a linebacker on a receiver, and B, that, well, there's a linebacker on his receiver, and he knows pre-snap to exploit the matchup and pick up the big chunk. For him to take the next step, he'll need more reps. He has a good arm, good pocket presence like we saw, but I still want to see him get through his reads more consistently and target down the field more consistently, because we barely got to see it. We did get to see the arm strength at times. However, they were more designery, you throw here type plays, where he wasn't being asked to read things out. This is Jet Chip Wasp, which a lot of you probably remember from Super Bowl 54, where the Chiefs beat the 49ers. It's supposed to look like dagger, but you're throwing this deep corner or wasp route, which Richardson can more than do when he knows exactly where to throw. We haven't even gotten into the QB run game with him, where, back to me not being as high on him, I didn't find his speed to translate super much, at least so far on film. He had 4 touchdowns in, technically 3 total games, so that's awesome. But his speed wasn't quite what I was expecting when I watched him try to pull away from guys on scrambles or design runs. It just wasn't there. He didn't quite have that Cam Newton, Josh Allen impact as a runner that we were expecting, but still, there is a ton of stress put on the defense when he's operating the QB run game, because you're gaining that extra blocker instead of wasting the quarterback. I'm not trying to be too down on Anthony Richardson, just trying to ease the expectations a bit on a hype train that has gone way off the tracks. I think sometimes these physically gifted freaks like Justin Fields, maybe an Anthony Richardson, get way overhyped due to their highlights or combines, and their perceived value gets overinflated compared to who they really are as quarterbacks. Richardson is still a good prospect, but he's being talked about like he's already Andrew Luck for the Colts. We've never seen him complete more than 60% of his passes in an NFL or college season, and he can be all over the place on film. With that being said, we saw the flashes and they are spectacular. If the man can put it all together, the Colts finally have their franchise quarterback.